You sit down to study, but within minutes, your mind drifts. You check your phone. You reorganize your desk. You tell yourself you'll start in 5 minutes again. And the strange part is, you want to study. So why does your brain resist something you know matters? There's a deeper mechanism at play here, and it's not what most people think. 2. Problem deep dive. This feeling isn't just laziness. It shows up in subtle ways. You open your notes, and suddenly feel mentally heavy. You reread the same line without absorbing it. You feel restless, slightly uncomfortable, even irritated for no clear reason. Then comes the self-talk. Why am I like this? Other people can do it, why can't I? Over time, this creates a pattern. You start associating studying with discomfort. And your brain begins to treat it like something to avoid. This is not a character flaw. It's a learned behavioral loop. Your brain is forming a prediction. Studying equals effort jod low immediate reward jod mental discomfort. And the brain naturally avoids what feels costly. 3. Reframe. What you call laziness is often your brain trying to protect energy. From an evolutionary perspective, the brain is designed to conserve resources. It constantly asks, is this worth the effort right now? If the answer feels unclear, or the reward feels distant, it quietly resists. So instead of seeing this as weakness, see it as an efficiency system that's slightly miscalibrated. Not broken, just optimized for short-term comfort over long-term goals. And that mismatch is where the struggle begins. 4. Psychological mechanism. At the core of this behavior is a system in the brain involving the prefrontal cortex, planning, focus, long-term thinking, the limbic system, emotion, reward, avoidance. When you think about studying, your prefrontal cortex understands its importance. But the limbic system evaluates how it feels right now. If the task feels heavy or unrewarding, the limbic system signals discomfort. And that discomfort creates avoidance. A helpful mental model is this: think of your brain as a predictive engine. It doesn't respond only to reality, it responds to expected outcomes. If past study sessions felt boring, stressful, or draining, your brain predicts the same experience again. So before you even begin, it already starts pulling you away. Another metaphor, your mind is like a thermostat. It tries to maintain emotional comfort. Studying raises perceived effort temperature, so your system instinctively tries to cool things down by avoiding the task. This is why motivation often feels like it appears after starting, not before. The resistance isn't random. It's a response to predicted effort, uncertainty, and delayed reward. And unless that prediction changes, the pattern repeats. 5. Practical framework. Now the question isn't, how do I force myself? It's, how do you change what your brain predicts? Here's a framework grounded in behavioral psychology and cognitive science. Step 1. Reduce the activation cost. What to do? Make starting as small and frictionless as possible. Open your book. Don't aim to study everything. Just read one paragraph. Why it works? The brain resists activation, not necessarily the task itself. Starting requires the highest energy spike. Once in motion, cognitive inertia decreases. Example: instead of saying, I'll study for 2 hours, you say, I'll just open the notes and read one page. That first action bypasses resistance. Step 2. Use implementation cues, environment triggers. What to do? Attach studying to a consistent environmental signal. Same place, same time, same setup. Why it works? The brain forms associative learning patterns. Over time, your environment becomes a cue that automatically triggers study behavior. Example: sitting at the same desk every evening with your notebook and a glass of water. Eventually, your brain begins to associate that setup with focus mode. Step 3. Break the reward delay. What to do? Introduce small, immediate rewards after short study sessions. Why it works? Dopamine systems respond strongly to immediate feedback, not delayed outcomes. Studying for exams feels distant, but small rewards create short-term reinforcement loops. Example: after 25 minutes of focused study, you take a short break, listen to music, or stretch. Your brain starts linking effort with a near-term positive outcome. Step 4. Lower cognitive load at the start. What to do? Begin with easier or familiar material before difficult topics. Why it works? The brain avoids tasks that feel mentally expensive. Starting with simpler content builds momentum and reduces perceived difficulty. Example: Instead of jumping into a complex math problem, you review previously solved examples first. This creates a gradual ramp instead of a sudden demand spike.
Step 5. Externalize your thinking. What to do? Write things down instead of holding them in your head. Why it works? Working memory is limited. When overloaded, the brain experiences strain, which increases avoidance behavior. Example. Instead of silently trying to remember concepts, you write key points in a notebook while studying. This frees mental resources for comprehension. 6. Integration. If you step back, all of this connects to one core idea. Your brain doesn't resist studying itself, it resists the perceived cost of starting and continuing. So the real lever is not willpower. It's perception shaping. When studying feels easier to begin, predictable in structure, less mentally heavy, and slightly rewarding in the short term, the brain updates its prediction. And when prediction changes, behavior follows. Think of it as a loop: perception, prediction, emotion, action, reinforcement. Change one part of the loop, and the rest begins to shift. 7. Quiet, empowering close. There will still be days when resistance appears. That doesn't mean something is wrong. It simply means your brain is doing what it was designed to do: protect energy, avoid uncertainty, and seek comfort. The shift happens quietly, not through sudden motivation, but through repeated, small moments where you begin anyway. Over time, those moments accumulate. And what once felt like resistance becomes something closer to familiarity. Not because the effort disappeared, but because your brain learned a new pattern. And in that sense, studying is less about forcing yourself, and more about gently retraining what your mind expects. One small action at a time, until starting no longer feels like a battle.